My mom, Mardell, is from here. So I grew up in two languages. But also through my years, I learned how to talk Wallaby too. See, again, it's just the way you pronounce. So in answer to you, we are working on setting up a language. We did have a consultant come in and talk with us, Dr. Mike Flora out of Flagstaff Unified School District. For those of you that know how in Flagstaff, there's a school called Hojo. It's an East Flag up by where Mount Eldon Junior High used to be behind there. They first started with the Mexican, Castile, Hispanic language, and then they put Navajo in there. It has become very successful in using both language. The example, the Hispanic language and English, they teach using Hispanic half a day, and they switch to English the second half. But their students have been very successful by using that method. That's one of the things that we're looking at right now. But it's also said that once we get that program, it may take anywhere from 3 to 5 years to fully implement and what they call, what's it called? Now I lost the word. Immersion. Where you combine that type of school system curriculum. Immersion school, boy. So, and I, you know, again, maybe one of the schools may want to go into that. At this stage, it's part of the planning. Oh. And the answer to you is yes. This is where we need input from those that, you know, and I think Merwin made that mention. Some of us have been around for a while. I've been around for a long time. But some of our elders are not, you know, they've moved on, and they're the ones with the knowledge from the old days. So if some of you have been told things by as someone said, your papa, your gua, or your so, or so. If you've been told things, those are important information that you should pass on to us so that we can put those into the curriculum. Because, like I told you, I've seen a lot of things in my, I should tell you, I guess 80 years. I've been here 80 years. And I've seen from the time I was born to now, the changes on Hopi over the years. So really, if you know some of this stuff, you know what you've learned, get that information so we can help put in the curriculum. Okay? Hopefully I answered you a little bit. Sure. Wait.
Kevin, oh, okay. That's one of the items that we're going to be looking for. It's a curriculum, Hopi Lawai curriculum committee. Yeah. Maybe this would interest you to be a part of that committee, because what you just raised is what they're going to be putting together. Is the civic history, the tribal council, way back then, how it was, you know, brought up. They're going to put that into the curriculum, and village government also. So that committee is going to be formed. So if you're interested, submit your name to it so you can be part of that committee, because that's going to be a really, really interesting committee, because that's what we're going to be looking for, is people that want to know about it, but you know, how the history and how it is now. Those are the things that we're going to be looking for. So I'm glad you raised that question, though.
Good question. I really have a comment and then a question.
I guess, information that I want to share is there's a couple of good resources out there, excellent resources as far as outside organizations creating curriculum that is culturally sensitive, that is infusing our own history. One of them is headed by Dr. Jeremy Garcia, who's from the U of A. I'm part of his team, and one thing that we're in the process of developing, and it's just, at that baby step right now, is hoping that positive curriculum. And I think we've been working for about a year now, but there's that resource there. There's also resources with the Hopi Foundation, with the Nutwani Coalition. There's, a lot of excellent pieces of curriculum that are already out there that I'm wondering how we're using those Hopi-owned, Hopi-created resources to become part of the school. Also, just resources from the Hopi Substance and Abuse. What is our organization called? Hopi Alcohol and, I believe, Substance Abuse program that is also in the process of building curriculum to help our schools. There's those, they're part of the Hopi Foundation as well. And also just programs that our schools are currently working with. For example, Second Mesa Day School is has started a STEM project with, in collaboration with a couple of Navajo schools out there. And our upper grades right now are currently going to put into place a Legos robotics program, which is STEM-based and focuses on engineering. And, we're already working collaboratively with another school that has been very, very successful, and they're providing a lot of support. So there are a lot of resources within our schools and also outside of our schools that, have already something developed. And I'd like to see how those people, those organizations are going to be utilized. So I just wanted, when he mentioned the history piece, I just wanted to make that, bring that to your attention. So thank you.
Thank
Who
you.
else?
This question is regarding the out-of-bounds children that are currently attending Second Mesa Day School. Once this is into effect, it was stated earlier at a previous meeting from HBE that the parents will have to provide transportation for the children once they get a waiver, once they're approved a waiver. I guess my question is, why is that?
Okay.
Okay, I can answer that. And as I stated before, one of the some of the reasons that this whole attendance area policy was implemented was, first and foremost, it was already in effect way back before we got to this point. And then the open boundaries occurred when we went into the No Child Left Behind Act. That was when everybody was able to send their children to the schools of their choice. And now that they have adopted and put into law the Hopi Education Code, and the No Child Left Behind Act has been revised, now the Hopi Tribal Council has resorted to going back to the attendance area policy. And some of their reasons were the fact that we have some students that get on buses very early in the morning. And then they have to ride those buses to the schools that their parents choose to send them. That's one excuse, one reason. So by going back to the attendance policy, it's to kind of curb that to where students are not having to be on the buses for so long and have to leave their homes so early in the morning. Another reason that we were told and informed was that there were many buses that were going in and out of villages. And so that was an issue for some of those individuals. And so that was one of the reasons that they also decided to go back to the attendance area policy to kind of curb that. And like I said before, is we want all our schools to be quality schools. You know, we want all our schools on the Hopi Reservation to be quality and effective schools, and that it doesn't matter what school you choose to send your child to, that they will receive that same quality education. And that is the goal of this Hopi school system. Okay, right now, the schools on Hopi, all the schools on Hopi are like sitting on little islands. Okay, we're all sitting on little islands, we're all being run in a different way. There's no consolidation among all the schools. You go to Second Mesa, you're learning one type of curriculum. Okay, something happens and that child is withdrawn from the school and goes to Hopi Day School because that's where mom has moved. Then once they get to that new school, they enroll into this school, then they're learning, then they're introduced to a whole new different curriculum, you know, which often causes confusion among our children. And so that's one of the things that we're trying to address as far as the schools all consolidating together. And so those are the reasons as to why they decided and they put back into the education code the attendance boundaries. And like I said, the one thing that we're really, really trying to stress and put forth is that we want all our schools in Hopi to be quality schools. Okay, and I know that's probably, you know, panep ovi yumat, you know, hakamewa, the tawag, you know, because they feel, you know, they're going to learn more at that school. But it shouldn't be. We want all our schools, because all the Hopi children are our children. They all eventually, hopefully, end up at Hopi Junior Senior High School. You know, and up there we want the curriculum to align so that when they do get to up there to the high school, that they're not lost. They've learned skills that they need to learn so that they can continue to be successful up at the high school level. You know, whether or not the student decide to go directly into the workforce. Not all our students are college bound. Some of them work better with their hands. And so we want to provide those opportunities for our students. And I think the one thing that is really important as far as the board members we have is that, you know, we have the experience and we have the knowledge of what an educational system looks like. At least it's good for the beginning. so that, we can see and we have an idea of what's going to help our students. And a lot of their education is also going to boil down to the support that you as parents, grandparents, encourage your child's education. The pandemic has really done a doozy on all of us. We've all been affected, whether emotionally, mentally, physically. We've all our children have lost. They've literally forgotten how to learn at school because we had to resort to virtual learning. And the kids had no clue, not just the kids, but teachers, educators, had no clue how to provide that instruction. And it was something that we literally, as teachers, as educators, had to learn overnight. And then your children had to learn how to sit in front of a computer screen. And so, there was a lot of effects, and all that learning skills that they had, that they received prior to the pandemic, all that was lost. And a lot of our kids, I'm speaking for not just here, not just on Hopi, but everywhere nationwide, and you hear it. Our children have forgotten how to learn. We've really gotten lax because, the expectancy was not there that you would get in person. It's very different. And so now we're trying to get our kids, our children, to relearn how to learn in an in-person school. And their motivation, a lot of their motivation has just really gone down. And so as educators, we're trying very hard, and that's why we really resort on the support that they get from home. Because you guys, you parents, you family members, you guys are their first teachers. As educators, yes, they come to us and we welcome, we enjoy having your students. And I'm sure it's exactly the same for the staff here. But if the child doesn't have that motivation, because it's lost, then we all need to work together. And this is where that saying is really going to come into play, is it takes a village to raise a child. And I think that's something that we also need to work on as HBE. And so school has really gone into a different direction. Education has really gone into a different direction. So having in-person meetings like this is great because, we're afraid to be even in the same room. Even a little cough, you're ready, like, oh no, and we're all at that point because we're all walking on eggshells, but this is what COVID has done to us. Nobody ever imagined going through a tuya like this. We thought we were gone past it. Well, they all went through that, smallpox, back in the day. Never did we imagine that we would have to encounter it. But what happened? We all did. We all had to face it. And so having an in-person meeting like this is really great. And I just want to encourage our kids, instead of saying, ita tatayo, nanain. That's not it. It's like they need that added support. We need to encourage them. We can't give up on them. We have to encourage them to do their best every day at school. You know, before COVID, you know, itam ako ay panto tiniita timoy amang ispitam soso yang bangka itam soso yang nawag iyong nakamabuma itam ay tami man itam ka itam ang inyay na yan itam sungyaw ng bumoy amang him puma wayong Momek hin puma guilalay kaya ni hin puma not oyin wuyo kante. But itam wuwan kaya itam inyay na yan. Bumoy ang mga kanayangan. So that's just my answer, and I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Let me
Let me.
add something.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Pada pada email Hakim some of the parents song kapil tuat Hakim tatak that are special needs. Ayan pemoy bil itam among aminas hit the world want to them. Pemoy be among Hopi, pemoy be transportation by among master dani because Hakawat schools and the maybe they don't have all the resources there, you know, specialized teachers or whatever. And you may want to send them to a school that you know of that have all these services there. That it's okay. The buses will be provided for those students, and then other areas will probably be, you know, given out like court cases or whatever. But for just picking up students who have special needs to kind of give parents, you know, confidence, or at least let them aware, let them know that that's gonna be provided. And we just need to give them the attention. We need to give them the right services, resources, things that they need, and they can, you know, they can become a successful individual in our Hopi society. So, I'll end that.
Good evening. I'm going to be honest and say that I've tried to make every one of the meetings that you guys have held. My name is Kiara Pohobetma, and I'm a little disappointed in a way to say, because I feel like this information has been shared every single time. Kind of waiting to see something maybe different or more in terms of the process of what some of the things have been accomplished. I know, like you guys have shared, you know, there's some things that have been accomplished more so on the admin side of things, the buildings, and those are all great. And I think for myself, I'm an educator, I'm a parent, and I advocate a lot for my students as well. But a lot of what I've learned, I taught in the cities, and, you know, seen the differences between a public school and a charter school, and how we, you know, have been running things out here on the reservation on these years. And some of the things now that I'm seeing is that we're trying to mimic what, you know, might be working for some places in some areas. And, you know, we see all of these things that we're lacking. You know, they're saying we don't have the same curriculum. We don't have the same, you know, just wanting consistency. And I understand that, and, you know, I guess that's one of the biggest things that, you know, from the parent standpoint is that why aren't all the schools the same? And for myself, as an educator, as a parent, I don't know if that's going to be reached. And the only reason why is because of how teachers teach. So I guess one of the things is with this consistency part of things, what will that evaluation process look like for educators? And I guess another thing is the hiring process. I don't know if that's still gonna just be put on the school boards, but I feel like that's something that if you're wanting consistency all across the board, then that does need to come to the board, and that should be handled in that area. Because I feel like some of the things are just still being put on the boards, and all the boards are different. They handle situations differently. They're gonna decide on things differently, except, they're not gonna be the same as every school out here. So that's one of, I guess, the biggest points that I have a lot of questions on different things, but that was just kind of one of my biggest, thoughts was about that process of making everything basically a cookie cutter throughout the reservation.
Thank you. I think you answered some of the questions yourself just now. So I'm going to kind of follow up what you said. Now you're going to hear me talk like an administrator, okay? Because on the board, my skills is to look at being an administrator. And I'm like you. I've worked on school districts off the Hopi Reservation. In fact, I retired out of Flagstaff Unified School District. For those that want to know, I was the principal at Laura Kinsey Elementary School next to NAU. But one of the things you brought up here, the question is, why are schools different through all of Hopi? First and foremost, when 10297, the grant school system, came into being, you need to blame me, because I'm the person who started the first grant school in Hopi at HBCS. Because what that area wanted was to have the community bring curriculum and teaching into that school. And so that's how HBCS started as a grant school, and we became independent from the BIA schools. And as each school developed and went into 10297, they became an independent school on Hopi. Even though they were under the tribe gave them through a resolution, you run your schools. And basically said, you choose your own curriculum, you need to develop your own policies and procedures, your financial policies, your food programs. That's going to be dependent upon your CSA principle. Once we started this process, and I'm going to tell you, this idea of a school system was talked about a long time ago already. When I started back in 1972, Mr. Alex Ami, who was education coordinator for the Hopi tribe, was from First Mesa, but he was the Hopi tribal coordinator. He was already trying to get the BIA to start working with one school board, and it never got successful. And the problem with having your 7 different schools is that everybody chooses almost a different curriculum. And I'm going to say this and I'm sorry to see the 2 staff members that already left, but you answered the question also, how are we going to make this happen? Remember, it's not just the students who have to learn. It's the staff as well. When we then I get a consistent one curriculum, teachers will be taught how to teach that curriculum. Because it's also the teacher's responsibility to know how to teach curriculum. And just so you know from my experience, when I put our staff, you notice I didn't say my staff, but our staff, because we talked as a family in a school. As a principal, I attended all my training that the staff went through. Why? Because as a principal, I'm responsible to know what the curriculum has and what the teachers are supposed to be teaching. Because that's what you base your evaluation when you go into the classroom to observe. So we're going to develop one evaluation that's going to be based on the curriculum that we have, so that when teachers are evaluated, they're based on the curriculum that is established throughout the schools. Because that's how you develop a quality curriculum. and quality teaching program and quality schools. There's got to be consistency, and this is also critical to the schools, is that you need to have a good education leader in your schools, because they are the key to your schools. The other side you answered to also about school boards. Each school board, if you go through them, are very, very different from one another. And I think Sherry knows this. And when they get brought in, they rotate, they change. So you might have set up goals for this 4-year period, all of a sudden they change. And then you're going to have to start all over again, trying to figure out how you're going to answer the question of quality and teaching. Under this system, your school boards become advisory boards to the principal. And they will work with the principal to make recommendations to HPE so that they will be brought to HPE for decisions to approve whatever you're submitting. And so also to the principals have asked us this, does our budget change from what we have today? And the answer is no, because the budget has been set up for the schools already. The district office will have a budget that will also be put together, but we will also find the 1.7 million that's been given to us. That's in addition to what the schools are now getting. So that's the money for the district office. So I respect you for your teaching and coming home, because not only have you seen Hopi teaching, but you've seen off the reservation teaching, and you've been in school districts that have quality. The expectations that are out there, as a teacher, you're expected to do certain things. That's what's going to happen on the Hopi school system. We are going to have expectations, not just for the teachers, but the classified, for the bus drivers, facility people, the food services, our counselors. Every staff member are going to be expected to perform in a unified manner. That's why we talk about this unified school district. Panwat itam sosial namin sosial tamala yungwe itam hapi our picture in Kakan hapi panza hoyo because it is so important for our young people to be able to learn. Whether we agreed or not, we have to learn to live in two worlds. I want you to look at the board here. I will tell you, I've worked with Sophie. I've known Rania for many years. Merwin, I've known him, especially his folks and mom and dad, because they're from here. I've worked with Robin, and her relatives. But each time the teachers that we've talked about, their dream is to give the best to their students. And that's why I say to you, the reason I respect you is you came back home and you're getting into the system with us. And hopefully, those of you that are teachers and staff, we don't want you to leave. As you know, it's very difficult to find staff out there. Bus drivers, I'm gonna tell you right now, bus drivers are the toughest people to find. Why? You gotta have a clean record. No alcohol, no drugs, no other legal issues, because if you have those, you can't get a CDL to drive buses. So these are rules and regulations that this school board has to work with and to develop. And in answer to your waiver, right now, the waivers are there. The reason about the limitation on buses is because of the funding that each school has for bus runs. And right now, as Ivania said, really the rules were made before we got into office. The Hopi Code gave said, this is what you're going to have to develop your policies around. But it does not prevent if you as a parent want to take and have your student come to another school. This waiver that first year is there, all you do is apply, and it's pretty simple from that point on. Sophie answered the question about special disability needs. There's special funding for them, therefore it's a law requirement that we provide the services. So if one school has a specific service, example, severe and profound, and we have others from other schools, that's where those students will go get services. Those kind of things. So I hopefully have answered some of your questions, because I'm now my principal hat is on, is what I'm looking at. And usually that's what I provide to the board so that they can hear what I would, as a principal, my thoughts would be as an administrator. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Devekotiwa, and I live here at Sumopavi. I work in the transportation department. I'm a school bus driver here at Second Mesa. Like Ms. Bahovema, I'm a little disappointed in the meeting. Like she said, this is a repeat of information. I would have liked to see a little more. Actually, maybe a suggestion is maybe having somebody from each committee that is taking care of the like the education, transportation, food services, and and not just the board. I appreciate you guys coming to the school and informing everyone of what's going on. But these are things that we've already heard before. I want it more in depth. That way, the other people can understand where transportation is coming along. That's my area, and that's what I was hoping to hear more of too. So maybe in the future, I hope we have another one. If we can have somebody representing those committees in those areas.
And in answer to you, that is being worked on with Garland. He's the one that is a chairperson for transportation. The reason we haven't told you any more about transportation because they are finalizing the policies and procedures to submit to HBE so we can take a look at them. And then if they look, and that will probably be going back to those who are still in the transition team, and then your principal should be receiving that document once it has come to us for review. We will send it back to you, so you will look at the particulars. And you're going to find that a lot of the policies that are in there are not very different from what you have today. So that there's protection, for example, you as a bus driver, certain things in there that you will be required under the policy procedures. And like I say, that's the reason why it's important that we receive information from the schools. And if the schools don't submit it, then those that submit it, we will take their recommendations and provide them in the policy procedures. And that's why I say the reason sometimes we don't give the particulars yet, because those have not been submitted to us for final review. And once we have so that's what Garland and them have been working on. So that will be happening. Done. I know you. Wait. Yeah. Well, the first year, I think it's very simple. Once you get the waivers to us, it's not going to be a difficult thing to deal with. But the transportation portion is what is in the code right now. And that's the reason that we as a board, that's a law under the Hopi tribe, and so we have been PLAs in that. And as of July 1, 2023, at that point, the Hopi board would have authority to begin to look at that and make recommendations back to the tribe to change the code. Yeah. With them, it's different. The school district is the whole reservation, all the way from Munkapi, all the way up to Yoralipaki. That's all within high school, junior high school boundaries. Oh, they don't have to ask for waivers. It doesn't have to, Yeah, that's again, you as a parent, you're the one that makes the decision. You can go to high school, yeah, junior high school, yeah. Because the transportation will be provided, yeah, because he's in the school district, in the whole high school, junior high school district, it's all reservation. And what it does is that waiver will go to the school of where you're asking for the waiver for, and the principal of that school will look at it and determine based on what the waiver's reason for the waiver, and they will be the one to approve the waiver. Yeah. Sure. Not necessarily, it's within the schools. The only school that really has out of, when we call it out of school boundaries, is the high school. They go to Lowbound, they go to Pinon, down to Indian Wells. That's with them, their transportation is very different from here. The only school that goes a little beyond their boundaries is First Mesa Elementary School. But everybody, all the other schools on Hopi are going between villages. And I'll give you an example. Hopi Day School goes all the way to First Mesa to pick up one student every day. And again, as an administrator, I say, do I spend that amount of money to take one bus when possibly I can use that money in transportation for other things other than the one student? But these are things that we are still talking about and we're looking at. So I guess the answer to you is that question dead yet? The answer is no. We are still looking at it. Wait. Yeah, I'll be going with July 1. I mean, it'll go, but you will still, the waiver, I think at this stage, we said there will be a 1-year waiver the first year. I mean, just for what you're asking for. Then after that, we're still looking at that, the possibility of maybe even extending that. We've talked about it, but not totally made a full decision on it. Oh, wait. Yeah.
I was going to say that, as a parent, if you choose to ask for a waiver, then bang sumyaw and by de anam namush. And that's not what's, so it's by choice. If you want your child to go to a different school outside their attendance area policy, then that's a choice you're making as a parent. Okay, and that's where the transportation issue comes in. And so, you have to, as a parent, really think about that. If you're able to provide that transportation, if that's the way we're going, the direction that the Hopi school system is going to do, then it's all based off of parental choice at that point. And then to Kiara, I know that Chair didn't answer, but yes, you will be getting your contracts from HBE after next school year.
Yeah.
Then, because at this point, the local school boards are still the authority up until June 30th, 2023. Then we take authority, Hopi board, and then at that point, then your contracts will be offered by the HBE at that point. And those contracts will be based off of if your principal recommends you for rehire, then it will be honored. So it's all based on your principal, your school administrator, and they will be the one responsible for the completion of evaluations at that point on all staff members.
Wait, let me, she has a question.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jeannie Talawema, and I'm glad to see that you're moving forward on some of these items. But I have to agree with some of the parents here. It seems like since I've been on HPE, not much progress has been made, and but it's good to see deadlines. So I'm looking forward to those deadlines. But my real question is, our children have lost at least 3 years of school, and I'm just wondering, has anyone brought up the fact that since we've lost so much of academics and so on, are there any plans for reinforcements somewhere, different, I'm not sure, activities to bring in those reinforcements, to bring in the, to help our children get back up there? Because I know some of the Flagstaff schools are doing it, some of the Phoenix schools are doing it. I mean, they're making every effort to make sure that the children are really being brought up and being challenged. Are those in your plans? I'm just wondering.
Okay.
This is coming from me, but my answer to that question is that would lie in the hands of the principal. They're the ones that run the school. I attended Hopi Junior Senior High School's board meeting Monday night, and their board approved a credit recovery program that they want to implement starting in January. And this was taken upon by the math department of their own, so it's primarily addressing math skills. But that school is wanting to develop to help bring students back up because of the loss of skills. Now, that would be a determination based off of the principals. They're the ones that are running the schools. So HBE, we can set that expectation as far as principals are concerned. I mean, as far as, regaining skills, doing, I just totally lost the word, help me, Kim. Where you're reteaching, reteaching activities, reteaching skills, that should already be in the plan at the local schools. If not, but it should be. They should be learning on how to, of course, make up for that lost time, because, the Arizona Department of Education does not stop. They still have the expectation. We still have to make sure that our students are meeting those expectations, even though they've lost skills. That expectation does not go away. But again, I'm going to say that it's up to parents, grandparents, and even the students to take advantage of these reteaching activities. If they're offered after school hours, then you're going to have to expect your child to be involved, and you really want your child to regain and close that educational gap that's happened to us, that's occurred. So, bottom line is the principals can offer and develop programs, staff can develop programs because they really care about their students, but it's up to whether or not the programs can be taken advantage of. That would be my question to you, Bill.
I just have one more question. I forgot about it and I remembered. Since we're going into another school year in 23-24, are we gonna be following the same calendar throughout all the schools? If so, I know you guys have mentioned, trainings for, staff. If that can be implemented in the calendar as well, so, because like, for instance, we have like professional development here at the school. And if it's not just randomly put on there monthly, but if it's on there for the whole year, so parents are aware that this is happening throughout the school year on a certain day. And then also a suggestion, also making it one whole day, maybe one whole day, no school, one day out of the month where, that training is available to all staff. That's just my suggestion, and the question was, the calendar was going to be standard across the board.
Yeah, well, just to answer you on the calendar, we will be meeting with all the schools and take a look at what calendars they have and look at what has to be met in those areas. But there will be a calendar set up that will go through all this, engulf all the schools. Because I think that, like you say, I think this board is in agreement with you with the new curriculum development, new curriculum coming in, any new policies. Staff development has to be a full day. Some of you that work with public schools, in the public schools, they have a 300 school set aside. And they said every month they had this set up. And in that public school, they also provide funds for incentive to train staff. It's something that we have to take a look at. And the other side, Mr. Loema, in answer to your question about getting things done, our goal is to get things done so that things are better for our students. One of the things, and I don't want to, I'll apologize ahead of time. One of the things that I find over and over again, yes, we have COVID. It's happened. We can't prevent it. But we can't keep blaming COVID for our kids not learning. We have to expect them to learn. But if we keep making excuses, we're the ones at fault for them not learning. I, for one, to let you know, I've sat on a board for career development, learning to work with your hands. I sat on that for 7 years for the Navajo high schools. And right now, we've been working, during my time, we worked at Hopi Junior Senior High School. Right now, they've got a Hopi computer lab set up, paid by a district outside of the high school, a native program. They put together working on a culinary program. They're talking about learning, teaching these kids how to do welding. So we as a board are having expectations, so you know. But I want us as Hopis in our school system not make excuses as to why our kids aren't learning. Như tuat panuan mung kaoveo. Na ikwan na hit tuat na mi jadi taitan owe pas mi pamhaki sejak. Putak pam tayo tatakai to ni somdo to ni tatakai to ni. You know, that was his rule from him. And wow, was a stern man. For those who know Grandpa Net, Pa Net, was bihaki Sigurd Mango, to make sure we did things. And as someone would say, well, you're an elder now. That's my expectations of our children. And my expectations of you as parents is that you support your kids in their education. Because if we don't, then we're not living up to Tatetavo. I'm telling you this. Panhapi Tatavo itam naman yumat kwamat sumat. Itam hapi ibu ita tingwi tetekan nayak. Pumapa sa kita. Tawi baye. Kaci ang huyo meka. Pai panaki nana wak lagi. Ita kaci lumahin kan huyo meka. Pitam heke. Halay jajan tamakay kini. So, that's the way I look at life, and I look as an educator. and I've done this again, like I said, 27 years, loved every bit of it. I really miss working with the kids, I'm letting you guys know that. I used to crawl around on my hands and knees, head start, and seeing the wheels of the bus go round and round, over and over. So with that, I think we've kept, especially our young children, young people. The principal has said, I think it's time for us to at least wind up. We're willing to come back again. And maybe by then we can answer some specifics on buses and stuff like that. So, Sherry?
Those people at the school, so the ones that are actually doing the work, their voices can be heard. Yes, you can run analysis studies or whatever, but these people are the ones that are actually doing the work. They know how things go. So that's just a recommendation to HPE and the different organizations within the transition team to come to the schools, to invite transportation, food service, teachers, so their voices can be heard, so they can also have input in how things actually work.
And we got it recorded. Mr. Kuda Jacobs will put it down on the board. That'll be one of the things we'll discuss. We have our group will be having a work session this weekend, so that'll be some of the discussion that we'll have.
There's one more, Chair.
This is just a real quick question, because as this next year, my name's Miss Lehman. I'm the kindergarten teacher here, and with the new year coming up, we start our recruitment process for kindergarten. So I just wanted to ask for this coming school year and for future, will we be still following our own school cutoff date? Because with that, our cutoff date is in December, and that's why our kindergarten enrollment is high. We have 47 kindergartners here, coming from Jericho all the way from Oldoraibi coming to the school here. So that is another contributor to why we have so many enrolled here. And once they start here, then they just want to continue going to school here.
And I think the answer to you right now is that you're still under your school board until June 30th. And so your policies and procedures still exist. But I think we talked about the attendance area. Take a look at that as part of your decision regarding to your deadline that you want to bring in, because really the objective is to have students attend in their own attendance area. And when you think about it, why do the parents send the kids here? You must be doing a dang good job. And they want to do this. So I congratulate you. Yeah. Otherwise, they wouldn't get attendance. I mean, you want to, right?
I have another question. This is regarding the contracts for the staff. Before you guys, earlier in a previous meeting, you guys stated that there would be a clause put into that. How soon can we get that so we can start working on the contracts for the staff?
It'll be coming into the board next week. We reviewed it today. The board feels comfortable, and because PIE also reviewed it, our Office of General Counsel reviewed it. They say it's a good clause, and so you will be receiving after action on it this next Wednesday. Yeah.
Well, my question was about the waiver. I had asked you before, are you guys setting a cutoff for how many waivers each school is going to accept? Because, you're kind of just left it open, and you're going to have all different parents, applying for waivers. Are you guys as a board going to make that cutoff for each school? That way, you don't have tons of people, and you're going to have the same problem that we have now. People, applying from all over. I'm just asking for myself because I don't live on the reservation because lack of housing. I live all the way in Jericho, but I bring my twins here, every day, and then they get dropped off at their schools at Shimokobi. And so I was just wondering, if you guys are implementing a limit for each school, like maybe say only 5 students, is that what you guys are considering, or is it just gonna be open?
You answered the question. Yeah, now we answer your question, but you answered already for us. Because you work here and you come from Genito, that's one of the waiver provisions, that if you work here, you bring them here, and the bus will take them up to Smoko to grandma's to school. Yeah, and so you fit it already. What's one of the reasons of giving a waiver, and it's up to the principals in your schools to grant the waiver. We understand that, but at this stage, we have not talked about limits, because again, I want everybody to hear this. Now remember, Hopi Board of Education does not have authority at this time to tell schools what to do within their schools until July 1, 2023. Then we will have the authority at that point to make the full decisions for all the schools. So presently, it will still operate. Now, Merwin talked about 23-24. As a school board, we are aware that there are some things that are going to be occurring that first year that will not totally be implemented, because there will be some transitions that still have to be completed and taken care of. So that first year, 23-24, there will still be some transitions taking place. But by then, central office will have been established, and internally, there may be some positions at the district office that some of the staffing that are in your offices and your administrators could apply for and can be moved up to district office, in a business office and HR, stuff like that. So, because earlier, remember on that thing that on the PowerPoint, remember some of those administrative roles that the principals had to take, they no longer have to worry about that, because it will be central office that takes care of that. So these are some of the transitions that will be taking place. And, like I said, you answered one of the reasons for giving a waiver, but to answer, is there limits? We have not set any limits, because we have no authority to do that right now. Wait.